Okay, good morning, everyone. I think there's still a few people to join, but I can see a couple of you at the moment. Thank you very much. Welcome to our Building a Brighter Future webinar. We are lucky to have Mary Whitmore, who's our Assistant Group Head, SENCO, and we're also going to be joined by our two other SENCOs, which is Samantha Hiles and Natalie Walker. But I'm just going to leave it for a couple of minutes, just to say what an absolutely lovely day it is, and we should all probably be outside, not in an office. But anyway, I'm very much hoping you're going to find this webinar really helpful. But it's not just about us telling you what we do. We really do want to work together. So if there's any areas you want to talk about, then just pop them in the chat. Or just speak to us in the Q&A afterwards, and we'd be more than willing to help. But this is about sort of building a brighter future for our young people. Okay, so I think we'll leave it a couple of minutes and then we'll start. Okay, thank you so much. I think we're going to make a start. So basically, Mary, this is over to you. And at the end of Mary's presentation, there will be a Q&A, so time for people to ask lots of questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I echo Rosie's sentiment that we really should be outside enjoying the sunshine, but here we are. And I'm really hoping that this will be a very useful, useful hour of our time. We are a dedicated team of 3 SENCOs. We have a larger team that we work with across both colleges. I have Natalie here to my left, who is SENCO at Stamford College, and Sam Hiles is joining us online, who is SENCO at Peterborough College. We work with the wider team and making sure that young people really do have the best experience at our college. We're here today really to give you an awareness of what post-16 looks like, to ensure that transitions are as smooth as possible, and making sure that we have a really good discussion around what we can do to enable young people to have the best possible start and carry on with us. We're also here really to manage expectations, because we know that these young people have been with you guys for a significant amount of time, and moving to post-16 does look different to a secondary offer. So a lot of today is really about making sure that we truly understand and are aware of everything that we can do to help this transition be really smooth and effective. As we all know, every student is an individual. They do present with their own unique strengths and needs. We really want to make sure that the course choice that they have is the right choice for them, and we know how daunting that can be. In a nutshell, we offer courses from entry level through to level 3, T levels included. We also have A levels at Stamford College as well. We have a dedicated information advice and guidance team that is accessible to young people and families way before year 11. And we also have our transitions in officers who work to establish that contact with the young people and their families, and also yourselves. I know that many of you may participate in school visits. Karen and Natalie, when she was in that role, would have come out to your schools and looked at what you're providing, making sure that we're understanding the strategies that you're using, that we're then transferring them into our environment, and having that really good understanding of how you guys work with your students and how we need to pick up the reins. We do offer school tours. Rosie would go into schools and offer school tours as well. So if you haven't been able to take us up on an offer or didn't realise that offer was available, we'd certainly welcome contact and exploration around that to make sure that we are doing that partnership working and really sort of not leaving any stone unturned. In terms of applications, our website gives the most up-to-date course information. From that, students are then able to apply. That application, there is a box on there to tick an ALS need or an EHCP need. So it's really important that students and young people that you work with understand that we're not going to judge their SEND needs. We're not going to limit their course choice based on their SEND needs. Course choice is done, course availability is done through entry requirements, which is standard practice across many colleges, or all colleges, because it's awarding body regulated as well as our own localised offers. So it's really important that you sort of help, if you can, the application process and have the links to our contacts that will give the families and young people any additional support around that. Obviously, we do include apprenticeships in our SEND offer. So if a young person is going straight into employment at for post 16, and that employer is talking about an apprenticeship, you can they still, if their apprenticeship comes under us, they would still fill out a form and have the ability to tick an ALS or SEND need, which would then trigger our teams. So we do have more than just SEND at Stamford College, as you do at your colleges and schools, I should imagine. We have our student welfare team who are really involved with young people and making sure their social and emotional needs are met, and that their well-being and mental health is supported throughout. We also have within that team the safeguarding team, and we know that you already have very established links of getting that information to that team, and we're very grateful for that. So in terms of additional learning support, support for young people extends beyond just the people that the young person comes into contact with, so our learning support coordinators. Inclusion is at the heart of everything all of us do. So support comes from the wider team too. So we're talking about lecturers, technicians, learning support workers. We have support that operates in class and out of class, because we understand that we're driving towards independence and we're driving towards a need for a young person to advocate for themselves. And we know that it's a substantial barrier sometimes for them to feel like they've got a voice. So we are geared up, like yourselves, to make sure that a young person has that opportunity to build those trusting relationships with the people they come into contact day to day, and really give them the opportunity to express how they're feeling, what they need, and for us to give them the guidance wider than just my learning support coordinators and the SENCOs that you see on screen with me. Our in-class offer is around having support workers in there for a range of reasons. These reasons are explored through a learning support discussion. So any young person who declares an additional learning support need or has an educational healthcare plan would be invited to a learning support discussion with the relevant learning support coordinator, and they're divided up over curriculum areas. The learning support discussion itself covers a broad area. So we're covering everything from how they feel about coming into college and school currently, through to how they feel about what their home life looks like in the evening, at weekends, and everything in between, because we appreciate that the worries and concerns and the impact of school and college goes beyond the college day. But we obviously get down to what strategies and support they need around their SEND needs and their ALS needs and their worries and concerns around that. We do work with them really hard to understand any strategies that are being currently used that they feel are effective. We also work with them to understand strategies that they've used before that they don't feel work for them. Within our out of class, so on the back of the learning support discussion, sorry, there'll be recommendations made, and some of those could be in class, some of them could be out of class through our learning support practitioners who work with young people to explore study skills, organisational skills, assistive technology and digital skills. We also have a core skills team that if the young person is coming to us needing to study maths and English still, they work with them in small groups to do overlearning around the maths and English, which is linked into our maths and English team, so it's targeted. When we think about the assistive technology and adaptations to learning materials, we're going along the lines of things like ClaraRead, reading pens, speech text, down to coloured paper, overlays, through the digital skills and working with the young people in the classroom. Because we're a Google platform college and we have Google Classroom, they would learn, or they'd be able to adjust background colours, be taught how to do that, and line spacing, font size. And we have a dedicated VI and HI team as well that would help with further adaptations, roles such as communication support workers that we've also got. So we're really looking to give an individualised support package to every young person that's driving forward their independence and driving forward them being able to communicate their voice. Exam access arrangements, they are obviously something that everyone on this call will be familiar with. We've got another slide on that, so I'll touch upon that more deeply on that slide, but we know the challenges that sit around that, helping the young person to feel like they've got what they need in those moments and the added stresses that come with that. We have mentoring and out of class support around that, and pastoral support through our wellbeing teams. Our mentoring and coaching is really coming from our learning support coordinators, who they'll have had that initial learning support discussion with. That can be a very short-term intervention that only lasts a few weeks, down to just a call round as they go around the classrooms and just a general check-in. But the thing is like every college, we offer an open door policy. We make sure that hopefully the young person understands that their team of support is wider than just the people they meet for that learning support discussion. So this is where really we're trying to make sure that we have got things right for a young person from the very first point of contact, or even before that point. We know we're part of SEND forums, SENCO forums, and that is something that we're really hoping to build on now. Sam, myself and Natalie for Peterborough local area are joining those SENCO forums, and we're hoping to join them for the Lincolnshire area as well, because we appreciate that how we work together really drives forward how a young person can feel about this major transition. And we know that you have been putting the work in place for this transition really since obviously year 9, sort of, if they've got an educational healthcare plan, the preparation for adulthood stuff kicks in. But we know that you're working hard from the very first moment to think about what guidance and support the young person needs. And we appreciate with local authorities, they are stretched, they are challenged, and we do have very good contact with our SEND caseworkers. And we really want to make sure that that is joined up as we work with yourselves. We really need to understand the journey of SEND that they've been on with yourselves, and whether they sit at School Action or School Action Plus. And a lot of that obviously can only come from conversation and sharing of information, which I know presents challenges around GDPR and everything else, but we can do general advice and guidance. We don't, not every conversation we have are we expecting the young person to come to us. We do have specialist software and recommendations that we get from occupational therapists and SALTs that are commissioned usually by the local authority. They can be privately commissioned by the young person, as you probably work with yourselves. And that would be something that really we need to understand better of what they're currently using at your setting, if they do have any specialist equipment and communication support. Additionally, if they do have any sensory or physical provision, it would be really helpful to understand that and how it sits within your setting. I know that, like I said, Karen and Natalie in a previous role would have come out to schools, but we would offer that wider if you feel that it would be beneficial for the young person that you're advocating for, because we know that if we can make sure that we understand how lighting would affect them and how noise would affect them and what steps you've taken to manage that, that would be really, really helpful to us. So we are quite happy to come out and spend a bit of time in your setting and understand that better. And equally, if it would be helpful for you to come and see our settings, we would welcome that as well, because it is about understanding what every setting can offer. The other element here that I just want to touch upon is transport, because a lot of our queries do come from parents who then at post 16 become responsible for transporting their young person to college. Obviously, we have a bus offer that goes out that has a contribution against it that the parents need to meet, and we do have financial support that parents can access and go through a process to see if they qualify for that. But it is quite a big hurdle for a young person sometimes to be accessing a bus in that way for the first time. So understanding whether that is a first time for a young person or whether they're used to doing that because of the way your transport works at your colleges would be really helpful too.
Just gonna add on quickly on the end of that. It's really helpful just for any of your learners that do have like an EHCP, if they get local authority transport, that kind of early notification for parents that actually it becomes their responsibility to make that application prior to starting at college. We do get the odd parent that says, oh, the taxi hasn't arrived, but it's because they don't realise that actually that becomes their responsibility to make that application once it gets to post 16. So that's really sort of helpful for that awareness to be raised with parents.
Thanks, Sam. So we really want to work with you to make sure information gathering is relevant. We obviously need to make sure that we're working within GDPR guidelines, and we do have our policies on that to make sure that any information we hold is kept securely and destroyed if required, if they don't come to us. We would, on the back of a learning support discussion, create a support plan. We know that many of the young people who work with yourselves, if they're on School Action Plus, may have individual education plans, or have assess plan do review elements that you've been working upon. Any of that information that you can be sharing with us when it is appropriate would be most helpful, because obviously we want to continue the hard work and dedication that you've put in place. We do work with young people to make sure that they, through the transition offer, have good time to explore the areas that they're interested in before they then put in applications. We encourage them to meet the curriculum teams and set up through the learning support discussion additional elements of transition that are personalised, and that is really, really helpful to them to understand the environment they're going into, to do that when students are already in college so that they can see what the working day looks like. And we appreciate that when we're offering things like that, we may be taking them out of the school day, because for us to show it to them when it's operational, that's really the only opportunities we've got. So we really do appreciate your support and your school support with them accessing that offer. If that ever does cause any issues, please do get in touch with us, because we don't want to be causing any issues with attendance. And if you feel that your team or someone from your team it'd be beneficial to accompany to any transition elements that we put on that are personalised, we would welcome that support too. When it comes to taster days, we appreciate the taster days for this academic year have passed, but taster days are open, yes, aimed at year 11s to start off with, but any young person from year 10 can attend. We do have dedicated year 10 ones as well that the marketing team would send out information around, and I'm sure Rosie at the end, if there are any questions around taster days, can answer from the marketing team perspective. The open evenings are really useful, even though we're not operational in terms of having other students in. The students do lead, the current student cohort are involved with our open evenings. They are the ones that do the tours round. They are the ones that meet and greet. They do all of the aspects of explaining to a young person what college can look like, and that's really, really powerful. And if any of you professionals want to have a nose around of our open evenings, you are more than welcome to as well, because it is quite a unique experience, being shown around by a young person who's really engaged and wanting to explain how well college has worked for them, and also explain uniquenesses around how nice the fried chicken is here, and how there are certain areas of colleges where you'd prefer to sit, and this is a really good place if you want to meet someone from this cohort or this team. They have insider knowledge that I will never have, and it is such a wonderful thing to experience. We have a taster day that goes on in June. It is June the 27th this year. There would be additional or separate invites sent out through our dedicated college comms to those that have set out, who have put in an application, but it does go out more widely. And again, any questions about the taster days, I'm sure Rosie can answer at the end, because that again is something that marketing oversee for us. There is the ability, as they register for the taster day in their chosen area, to say whether they've got any additional needs or any special requirements they need putting in place. And our teams do have full access to that student list. So we are looking for students who we've previously had contact with to make sure that we've got the right support in place for them. But if you do have a young person who you feel at taster day would need some additional support, some meeting and greeting in the mornings, just some general introductions or any special requirements, then please do let us know, and we put our contact details on the final few slides. I think what's really important is for them to understand that taster day is very, very busy, and it isn't like a normal college day in essence, because we are trying to fit a lot of site orientation around course knowledge. They may be grouped together with students who won't necessarily be in their level of course as they go forward in September into induction. It is a good thing because socially they usually know someone within the group that they're in, and they do have dedicated break and lunch times that happen at the same point. So it is really, really useful for them to come along. but we do want to understand if there are any trigger points or anything that we need to be aware of, so that we can explain that to the curriculum area they're going to, and or put in any additional support they need.
And I'd just like to say, dependent on their needs, so if they're going down to the houses or inclusive learning, or they've got high anxiety and they need a longer transition in, that's something we can arrange as well, so that not just thrown in on the taster day and then the induction day, they can gradually go into college.
So I just should say that the taster day on the 27th is predominantly for mainstream courses. Inclusive learning and skills for work and living do their own taster days, because they pick points in the calendar that perhaps suit their learners more. So there would be additional communication come out from those teams directly about taster days for those, because we appreciate those students with complex needs do have a requirement for a bit more of a graduated approach to transition. Support beyond in the classroom and beyond. So we do have, as I probably touched upon, outside of lesson support, the learning support practitioners, the out of class core skills, the out of class one-to-one. We do offer drop-in sessions. There would be posters that would go up around college about key dates and key drop-in sessions that they could attend. We do operate an open door policy for that very reason, that if a young person needs some help and support and guidance, they can go to IAG, they can go to welfare, wellbeing, they can go to ourselves as they need to. And they also have their student mentor who does the pastoral support that would give them additional time that they need. Their course offer would build in one-to-one academic tutorials, and it would also build in personal development sessions, which do have an element of one-to-one check-in to them. So they do have the support wrapped around, if that makes sense. Study spaces, we are a very busy college on both sites. We do have study spaces that students can go and learn with various ports for USBs and everything else, so they can plug in their technology and charge their phones and do what they need to do. The study spaces are not necessarily supervised, but the nature of things are that they would have a point of contact should they need to check anything out through Google Classrooms, or through them going to the staff rooms where the staff are working, or the classrooms. I think it's important really that young people are able to access support as they need it. And I know Wellbeing do a lot of work around the use of apps to support their mental health, so that they can get help and support as and when required. We have links to Kooth, and I was learning about a new app called Calm Harm the other day. So our Wellbeing team have many points of contact through what they do, and it's really interesting to see that the extra initiatives they're putting in, such as the RAP programme, which works with young people to understand their anxieties and put in extra information, extra strategies for them to work through things. Obviously, like yourselves, we work with external agencies, and we get involved with the local offer pages to make sure that students can be signposted to any guidance and support in the local area. Assistive technologies we touched upon with Clara Reid, Google Docs, enabled assistive tech and reading pens. Our team are actively exploring assistive AI. Our Google Hub works with the curriculum areas to explore that, and then that is then facilitated into their classroom delivery. We obviously would support young people, as yourselves do, with adaptive keyboards, any specialist resource. We have some lovely facilities on our premises. We have the construction site in Stamford that's just opened up. We've got immersive rooms. We have the Green Centre that's just opening up at Peterborough, which I'm sure there'll be tours around and bits and pieces if anyone wants to have a nose around what that looks like. And then we have our more established offers of restaurants, the Gallery in the Parks at Peterborough, Gallery at Stamford, and our hair and beauty salons. If any of you looking at social media last night, you might see that we operated a skills day where we had different organisations and companies come in. So we're really sort of based in trying to give the young person a really wide offer of learning and technology and resource based within the industry that they want to study in. Going back to the second point, if young people need to access our resources, we do have processes around that and would work to make sure that they are able to get things like access to Chromebooks, access to reading pens and so on a loan basis, that so that they're not disadvantaged with that. So exam access arrangements, like yourselves, we want to make sure that everyone has a level playing field. We want to make sure that everyone has what they need in an exam situation. We do appreciate that with the November resits being very soon after a young person transfers to ourselves, that the process of getting the information, the Form 8s and the assessor certificates can be really pushed. And for yourselves on carrying on with your processes, getting ready for your mocks and getting everything in place for your year 11s at that point would be a high drive of workload for us all. We know that we try and send out a provisional list to yourselves in the summer of students that we feel may be coming to us because we've had an application, and we appreciate that at that point in time you can't release anything to us because they're not on our roll. But we do make parents aware that if they are talking to us in learning support discussions, that for things to roll on from June to November, as current JCQ rules apply, and we know that they update them again in every August and periodically throughout the year, we do want to make sure that they're aware that the Form 8 is, for us to roll it over, would be required along with the assessor certificate. So we are giving them that information and trying to help them understand that in the first few weeks of induction, they would be baselined, they would be assessed to see if what EAA they need, and have an honest discussion about what they've had historically. We would benefit from understanding from yourselves at an earliest possible point of what evidence you've used to give them those EAA, because in some cases, if we have young people who are anxious about going to Maths and English, who are disappointed with their results, sometimes we do struggle to see them enough times to get EAA in place if it hasn't been there, or if it's been there before but we haven't been able to get the Form 8. So we do really want to make sure that we're giving them the best possible chance to achieve when you put all that hard work to get them to June and they just perhaps need another chance at it in November. So really this slide is about the fact that capturing the young person's voice never stops. We hold various feedback points throughout the year. And that is really just making sure that the young person, through our student reps, who are assigned to every course group, have the ability to say what they feel is working for them and what they feel could be better. We hold a SEND forum as well, an ALS and SEND forum, which captures students who have declared a need to make sure that, again, we're being effective and that we are understanding how college is working for them and dealing with any barriers that they feel are there. We have other things such as Have You Say that you can make young people aware about, which is a general feedback around how college is working for them more holistically. And we also have an anonymous reporting system called We Listen, which allows them to say where they've got barriers to things or things aren't, or they've got worries or concerns. Obviously, Have You Say also has some positives. So like yourselves, we're always seeking the positives of where things are going well so that we can keep working along those lines. But we appreciate that you may have feedback that comes to you from tours and from initial contact. All feedback is useful to us. So if there is anything that you feel that we need to be knowing, so that we can amend our practices or adjust things differently or just generally do more of, then we'd be grateful of that feedback. Beyond the classroom, we have engagement hubs across both sites. These engagement hubs contain things like ping pong tables, gaming consoles, board games for those that are old school, back down to a pack of cards. Sorry?
Chess club.
Chess club. There are various things that are on offer at various points of the year. I think the thing to sort of understand here is that clubs and societies get driven by our students. Staff are on hand to support as you do within your colleges and schools, and we really want to make sure that we are offering what they need to develop their social skills, because we appreciate the social picture for colleges may be different to what they've had at secondary, and we really want to make sure that they're not forced into friendships, but they have plenty of opportunities of building those friendships, and making sure that it's done at a pace that they can manage as well. For students with ASD, we certainly noticed that we need to gradually build up to reducing the support that they need in those respects. We do have our commitment to student wellbeing. Our wellbeing team do offer mental health support. I've already mentioned the RAP programme, which works with young people to identify their anxieties and worries, and then goes on to a number of weeks of helping them understand strategies that can help and support in the moment. They do offer and support with short-term counselling, while a young person would seek GP support for longer-term intervention. But that is something that if you've got a student who you feel is going to need that level of support or has anxieties and worries about coming to college or just generally about the social elements, then your feedback and contact around those students would be most helpful so that we get it right from the start and don't cause any barriers. So we appreciate we will only have them for a couple of years at best. We really want to make sure that they are supported towards the career goals that they've already probably started identifying with yourselves. We have a dedicated career support team, which they will, throughout their time with us, have the ability to engage with and be signposted to engage with, because we do appreciate that through our first induction weeks, the 6 weeks steps to success as it's known within the college, students can change their mind about their course and change their mind about their careers at any point throughout their journey. And it's really, really important to make sure that they understand how their choices can be adapted and changed, and it's never the end of the world if they do change their mind. But we do want them to understand how they're working. We're obviously looking at transition into college, but we're looking transition within college, so within course to course. We're looking at transitions, obviously thinking about those students who are identifying university as a progression pathway, making sure they've got their personal statements right, making sure that they've got their applications to universities in, and they're able to go on their tours to university so that they understand what that looks like. And we know that you guys will have also have a vested interest in that, in making sure that they do follow those goals. So we do have case studies that get published periodically. We have young people that we're very proud of that have headed off to university, that have headed into apprenticeships, that have headed into support internships, have then moved on to paid employment. We had a cohort of students who got involved with the University of Derby to explore how educational healthcare plans work for young people, and did a research project on the back of that. There are lots of successful outcomes that we have the joy and pleasure of experiencing, and it's down to what we do with yourselves and building these things through. We hopefully you may in the future or currently or past have seen some students that you know get celebrated through our student awards. Again, that's an amazing event, but the achievements that students have, like yourselves, can be very small or very large, and we celebrate all of them equally. So yeah, it's a pleasure to see them support them onto their next steps of things. So finally, last few slides. Dates for your diary, they're already up there. Thank you, Rosie. I hadn't got that far in the slide program, obviously, to realise that they were there. So yeah, that's what they look like. And I'm sure that those dates will be circulated so that you can put them out in any student newsletters that you send out, parents' newsletters. If you have any comms that go out on the wider social media elements, I'm sure we'd be quite happy for those dates to be shared.
Definitely.
And make sure that people are aware. We appreciate we're not the only post-16 college that young people will be looking at, and this webinar is not about selling our colleges at all. It's just about making sure that a young person has the best possible chance to succeed. And I know that I didn't touch upon this on the relevant slide, but for EHCP students, if you do want us to attend the Year 11 reviews, if you do want college information as you get to the Year 9, Year 10 reviews, we are more than happy to offer that. Not, again, with a view to having them come to us, but just with a view to having them empowered with that information, and really making sure that provision and outcomes that you're devising in Year 11, which they've got to be focused on that year, have a nod towards what post-16 could possibly look like. So these are our contact details. And I'm sure that for some of you may have Sam's, mine or Natalie's email anyway, and we're more than happy for you to contact us through that at anything directly. But those will get you to our inboxes, which means that the wider team can help and support and pick up that information and make sure that the relevant person comes back to you. So this is a point at which all of that, by all means, ask any questions you have. Please put your cameras on. Please, yeah, unmute, and if there's anything in the chat that we can be addressing, that would be amazing.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to share with us? We're very happy to answer them. Okay, I can't see. I think you covered such a lot there. I mean, I personally found that incredibly helpful, really, really helpful, and a great practice for tomorrow night. So, like I say, we are going to be very busy. Okay, so I don't think you have any questions, Mary. So thank you so much. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Sam.
Wow.
And thank you to everyone who's joined. And I think probably the key message on all of this is the collaboration, working together, and early engagement, so that everybody's got time to plan and for a successful future. Okay, yes, just had a thank you from all the schools. Right, okay, I think we're going to go and basically look forward to tomorrow night. And like I say, if you can share tomorrow night's opportunity with your students, then that would be great. It is going to be extremely busy, but a great opportunity to hear Mary talk about our send offer. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Mary. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take
care.
Bye.